Hello.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the pod.
Happy you're here. Um, yeah. I don't know
Oh,
what I was gonna say.
okay. I hope everyone's day is going well. If you're hanging out on YouTube, I hope you enjoy my hair towel. I refuse to sleep with wet hair, and my 30 minutes between a client call and podcasting was all I had to wash my hair today before like 8 p.m. So here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to wash my hair today. It's pretty greasy, but I'm running later, so I gotta do it later after
Yeah,
that because I don't wanna.
I already worked out and I don't own a blow dryer. So that's part of the reason why I have to shower in the beginning of my day because I don't own a blow dryer. So
Yeah, I have a blow dryer, I'm just not gonna use it. But yeah, I feel like you're like a fitness girly when you plan your hair washing around different workouts. Like I always
yeah.
try to wash my hair like pretty close to after like a bike ride because I've got like my greasy helmet on. Um, so I would never do it like before a bike ride unless it's an unplanned bike workout, in which case, well,
Such is life.
that's what dry shampoo's for, friends.
Yeah.
Um, but do you have a win?
Well, it is official. I talked about when did I talk about this? A couple weeks ago. It's official that I'm transferring client apps and working with the company I mentioned. Contract has been signed, website is being made. So yeah, that's my win. My biggest win around all of that though is I haven't had a mentee be about anything. Like I paid my first payment to them and I was just like, here's your money. And I wasn't like, so we're feeling like oddly calm about it, which means it was the right decision, but I'm not used to just being like, this is calm and cool. So
Yeah. And I think as a fellow business owner, I think change is really hard for us because we're like, I have nobody to blame but myself.
yeah, this goes terribly, but it's not going to go terribly. It's going to go great. And I've gotten into the app and it's cool and it's going to make everyone's life easier. And yeah, so my win is officially signing the contract and also not crying about it. So
Not crying is a good
big
win.
win for me.
Yeah. Yeah. My win, I have a small win for today actually, is that I actually ate lunch before we started podcasting, which I don't normally do. I'll usually wait because I'm not like quite hungry right at noon. But I do want to go for a run when my kiddo wakes up from nap. And if I eat at like 1:30, 2 o'clock, then my tummy's gonna be bleh for my run. So I was like, okay, you need to like plan and do this, and then you can have a little pre-run snack and then you'd be good to go. So
We love it.
eating is my win today.
Good.
Um, yeah, we have some questions from you guys today. Super stoked. Um, the first one, she sent the question and I was like, this is Jill, like 100%, this is your answer. But there's a little bit to it. So,
Okay,
um,
ready.
the question was, oh, where did it go? The question was, do you have any tips for keeping motivated while dealing with anxiety? And I had to reply back because as a coach, I only answer questions with more questions. If you know, you know. If you're one of my clients, you know. And my question back was, do you mean just general anxiety or specific to the gym or workouts or something else? And she said, general anxiety. I have general anxiety disorder, and some days it's hard to change my mind about staying home and getting myself to the gym. I've tried affirmations, taking buddies with me, but it's still hard to switch that manic mindset to a motivating one. And I just responded, thanks for clarifying. We'll answer this when we record tomorrow. I know Jill will have some good insights here.
As a former well, nope, we're going former. I have moments of social anxiety still, but I can usually navigate it and move on with my life, which did not happen overnight. I spent years of being a socially anxious human, like tears to do anything new. I just won't do it if I have to do it by myself. Like life is not that fun operating with those thoughts in your head all the time. I would say, and this might be a hot take as a holistic coach, for because for some reason people think holistic means natural, which it doesn't, but that's fine. Medicate if you need to. Like prescription meds are there for a reason. Like if it's actually debilitating and like you can't get your things done, there's probably a medication that can aid in that. Would I suggest perhaps taking some other routes first? Yes, but you can go that route if that's going to work best for you. When I was in my most anxious times, I think a big thing that was helpful for me was like leaning on the supports I had, like not being scared to ask people to do things with me or help me with things or whatever. I know she mentioned she does ask buddies to like go with her and do that kind of stuff, which people also have their own lives. So you probably can't get someone to come to the gym with you every single time you want to go. Um, have we tried supplements that help with that? You know, I talk about GABA all the time. Jess, you use GABA as well. If you're like, what is GABA? One of my favorite supplements for stress and anxiety. It's a neurotransmitter, helps blocks feelings of stress and anxiety. It's not going to get rid of it and you're never going to experience it again, but it's going to help you stop from that like spiraling, which is usually what gets us in our hole of like, but if I do this and then that's going to happen and then other things going to happen and then we think the world is ending in 4.5 seconds. So if we can stop that spiral, it's usually a little bit easier for us to be like, wait, I'm actually going to be fine. I can go do the thing. So GABA can be really helpful. Use it if and when you need it. You don't have to take it all the time. Yeah. Do you want to chime in before I go on the longest spiel around anxiety ever?
Um, no, this is why I was like, this is Jill. Like, I know that she's gonna be good. And I feel like the fact that she said like she has generalized anxiety disorder leads me to believe that she's under some kind of advanced care, like a psychologist or a doctor of some kind. So if you're not, I hope that you find somebody who is a professional in this area that can help you. But I also think that, and I can speak from like postpartum perspective in that um I not necessarily leaving the house and going to the gym, but I had a lot of anxiety about just like kid things. Things that really help me is just really grounding the fact that like or asking myself a question like what is the worst case scenario and how would I deal with it if that happened? And I don't know if that's really helpful for somebody who has anxiety about a lot of different things, but if you're a new parent and you're like, oh my god, is my kid breathing heavier? Are they have a cold? And it's like, hey, what if they do have a cold? Okay, so what if they are struggling with breathing? Then what would we do? Well, we would go to the hospital and they would help us because that's what we do, right? Like it's like, okay, but like they're not. Okay, cool, but I have a plan if the worst case scenario were to happen. um and then I also used to do this when I would have like pre sort of race anxiety is I'd be like, hey, what could possibly go wrong? Okay, now what are all the things that could go right today? And just be like, you can always do sort of like a what do you call like a visualization of like, this is how I'm gonna drive to the gym, like I know there's going to be a train because it's that time of day, or like, listen to your favorite music on the way to the gym, get yourself hyped. Maybe there's a little like reward. Like maybe you're like, you know what? I'm going to go to the gym this afternoon. And on my way home, I'm going to go to Starbucks. I don't know if that's helpful at all, but I do love the GABA. And I always forget that it's like okay to take during the day.
Mhm.
If you're feeling anxious about something. Do you know how many times I've like been like visiting family members that are like maybe less of the vibe than we would like, that I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna of GABA and I'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think like the worst case scenario idea can be helpful, but you also know your brain best. Like when I was at the
Yeah.
worst point of my anxiety, if I went worst case scenario, it was like everyone I love is dead. Like it was like not that chill of worst
So
case
maybe
scenario.
we just do best case
Yeah.
scenario.
So you know your brain best because like one time, my mom did when I was in the peak of my catastrophizing anxiety brain. Like if my mom didn't reply to my text in what I thought was a timely manner, I was like, cool, she's gotten in a car crash and died. Like my brain went like not some very chill places. So talking yourself out of that can be helpful sometimes, but I would go like GABA, then worst case scenario, so that we don't just like end up in the depths of our anxiety. Because that does work. Like I had not so long ago, I did have a like event I had to go to that was going to trigger some anxiety for me, and I knew that. So I took my GABA, did my makeup, got ready, and then before I left, I was like, "We're still a little stressed. What's worst case scenario?" And I'm like, you get beat up by the person who doesn't like you in public." And I'm like, well, that's probably not going to happen. And then I walked out my door and went to the event. So if we can like chill our brain a little bit first, that can be really helpful. Best case scenario is great also. I would also say, is there ways that we can reduce the anxiety? Like if going to the gym is a big source of our anxiety right now, can we offer ourselves a compromise? Like if you're having one of those days where you're just like, oh my God, I have to go to the gym and everything sucks and it's the worst and everyone's gonna stare at me and I'm gonna drop a weight on my face. Like if that's where our brain is going to get to the gym, can we offer ourselves a compromise? Can we have a kettlebell and a couple sets of weights at home or even some bands, to be like, you know what? I'm going to do something at home today instead. Like gym feels like too much. Here's the next best option. Or if we don't want to have like home gym things, which is fine also, can I go for a walk instead? Can I go walk on a treadmill? Can we offer ourselves some sort of compromise so that we're not doing nothing, but it also doesn't feel so overwhelming?
Yeah, I totally agree with that, which is 100% why I have a full gym in my basement. Um, and it's just because the idea of getting out of the house and going to a gym or a class somewhere and figuring out the childcare situation and that is just like it's too much. So
Yeah.
I'm just not
I
going to do
know
it.
sometimes even like where am I going to park can be the difference between being anxious about
Yeah.
something and not. So giving yourself that out, and I don't mean like, great, we're going to sit on the couch and eat a bag of chips instead, but like giving yourself some sort of like, here's what we're going to do instead can be really helpful. I'm lucky that my apartment gym is half decent. That's where I did my workout this morning. If you can't have a full gym set up or you don't have like access to a gym, if you apartment live also, can we have a little bit of stuff at home? Can we go for a walk instead? Can we find something else to do that's going to feel productive but not so overwhelming?
Yeah. And I I would probably say that like keeping some sort of a log of when you're feeling more or less anxious or like if you found something that worked or just am all for having some sort of hard data, whether you put that in your notes app on your phone and just write like, like when it's November 9th, low anxiety, went to the gym, like whatever it is, or like felt triggered by X, did a walk instead. Like I would keep track of it because there might be some trends that you don't necessarily see by just thinking about it. Because if you're already overthinking, you're probably missing something that is right in front of you that like I often feel like it happens when we do like I don't want to really compare it, but when we do like food journaling with people, I often see something and I'm like, that's it. That's it right there. And they're like, oh, I would have never seen that. Or they like look at it and they're like, okay, so I'm realizing that this is happening. And you're like, yay.
Yeah.
So sometimes having it right in front of your face, even if it's on a piece of paper or in a notebook, um, just writing little notes. And even if you find something that like you're like, I took GABA and then I had my pre-workout and then I went to the gym. Like, okay, great. That was awesome. Although I don't know that like mixing the GABA and the pre-workout is like a good idea because I feel like they just cancel each other.
Yeah, I think you get nothing from either. I think a general rule is the more anxious, the less caffeine we should have also.
Yeah. So like monitor, like keep track of like your caffeine intake, keep track of your caffeinated drink if you're like an energy drink person, if you're a pre-workout person, if you're a like if you're a like a Coke person, like keep track of those things because if you're like, man, that third cup of coffee pushes me over the edge, stop doing it.
Yeah.
Right? Like
And I think it's really hard to recognize trends in general. We all have a lot
totally.
going on in our lives. So to be able to sit and be like, hey, so in the last 30 days, what has made me anxious? Probably hard to recall versus if you have something hard written down, it's easier to go through. I also think that allows you to plan for the future. Like if you all of a sudden
Hmm.
at like, oh, 3 days before my period starts, like I'm
Yeah.
really anxious, then maybe we know that, like, you know what, that's just not a day we try to get to the gym. That's a day we do something else. Like that
Yeah.
allows you in the future to be like, hey, these are the things that happen. Here's what I'm going to do instead. Here's how I'm going to kind of game plan my life. Because I also think that helps with the guilt side of it
Hmm.
too. Like, oh, like I know, for example, this isn't related to anxiety, but like I know on Fridays it's a really hard day for me to get to the gym. So I don't plan to gym on Fridays. If I end up having time and it works, great. But I'm not like on Fridays we do this because then when I don't get it done, I feel crappy about it. Versus if it's not in the plan and it's just a nice little bonus, that feels a lot better. So we can game plan that way too, being like on these specific days, I'm extra anxious. If I feel like going to the gym on those days, great, but I don't have to. And I think that can help a lot too.
Yeah. I think even giving yourself the permission to say, I don't have to, no matter what, um, is huge.
Yeah.
Because truly, you don't have to do anything.
But if you do have,
Um,
like, I know that cycle can be hard when you're like, I want to work out 3 times a week and then it's not happening. That can be mentally hard too. But maybe we just need to game plan a little bit better. Maybe we're not picking the best days mentally, physically, schedule wise to get ourselves to the gym. So maybe those are the days we need to compromise and we plan to gym other days. I think having that balance of like the positive reinforcement of sticking with your goals is important, but also allowing yourself that flexibility of like, Fridays are a bad day for me. So I'm not going to force myself to make it work on those days or whatever it may
yeah.
be.
Yeah. I like that a lot. Giving yourself some flexibility. Yeah. That kind of leads into our next question, actually. So I hope that was helpful. Let us know if you have any follow-up questions. We'll do our best. But the next question is tips on how to be easy and love yourself during incredibly stressful times.
Oh, we're on a stress theme. Is everyone okay out there? Are we doing?
The last question is super light. That's why I saved it for the end.
I need to send out a bat signal. Is everyone okay out there?
Right?
Um,
Um,
I
well,
know, first of all, like right now, especially, I know like the world is heavy. We're headed into a busy season. It's Christmas, money, families. There's a lot of stress that comes out of December. If you're a person who celebrates Christmas, especially because it just piles on, like if your family doesn't live here, you're traveling for it. If you have to buy everyone and their dog a present, that's expensive. If we have nutrition goals, holidays can be stressful. Like I think these next couple months, it's American Thanksgiving right away. Like these next couple months come with a lot of stress and family, which we mentioned with GABA is not always the easiest to navigate. So I think the first thing, and then not to mention like all the world events happening right now, the world is like not that fun of a place to exist in. Life is expensive, our economy, X, Y, and Z. There's endless reasons right now why we might be feeling stressed that don't even involve our like home lives, which I think is crazy. So this is a conversation I've been having with a lot of my clients is like understand that the world is heavy and hard right now, and it's okay if you feel that. I think sometimes recognizing where our stress is coming from or why we're maybe struggling is like the first step to be like, okay, it's not just me. I'm not going crazy. Like hearing about all the world events all the time, especially into holiday seasons, is like not that cool or fun or fresh for any of us.
Yeah, I think one thing that helps me navigate stress is kind of labeling the things that I can control. So, um, let's say it was like, I don't know, Christmas. So I can control how much I spend. That is totally within my control. I can control which events that I choose to go to and which ones we pass on. I can control my I can control my nutrition for the most part, right? Unless you're only being served at other people's houses, then it might be a little hard, but you can always buy your own groceries. Um, I can control like the amount of time I spend with certain people. I can be like, I'm taking a walk, right? You can control a lot of different things. Um, and then recognizing the things that are beyond your control that you can't have any say in. So, like Jill mentioned, worldly events going on right now, not something we can do anything about. But if they are truly getting to you, there are ways that you can help without helping, right? You can donate, you can send emails, letters. Those kinds of things are all ways to take back a little control over your corner of the universe, right?
Yeah.
You can always control your bedtime routines, you can control your social media access. You can, like control the controllables has been sort of a background mantra of mine for a really long time. And it started with like sport in like endurance racing. There's a lot of things that you can get stressed about, but like if it's raining, it's like, why am I stressed about the rain? Like literally there's nothing I can do. Like stop raining. Don't rain on race day. But
I
like
also think you and I got almost a little bit of a leg up during COVID times as well with getting really good at controlling the controllables, because I know all the industries took a hit, but the health and fitness industry really got tossed around for like months on end of
I
what we
don't
could,
ever want to hear the word pivot again.
yeah, what we could or couldn't do. So I think we have earned that skill of getting really good at focusing on what we
I
can
I
control.
feel like there was parts of COVID that I'm not even sure if I remember what happened clearly.
Me
Like
either.
I'm like, was that rule or set of rules a fever dream, or like did I dream that they told us that's what we had to do?
Yeah. So I think, and yeah, especially like it depends where your stress is coming from. But if you're already like anxious about holidays or work or whatever, like unfortunately you can't control if your boss is grumpy at work tomorrow or not. But you
I
can,
can. Well, sort of.
but you can control how much you choose to listen to them. Like I don't know, there's always a loophole of like these are the things I can't control, these are the things I can. So but I think that's hard to do and hard to recognize if we don't know where our stress is coming from in the first place. um Stress around the holidays comes from my dad's family a lot, but like I can't control how much rye my grandpa chooses to drink before 6 p.m.
Yeah.
So like such is life.
Yeah.
But like you said, I can control how long I choose to stay
And
in their presence.
and with
So
other people, like, no, you can't control their actions. You can't control the things that they say to you, but you can control what's going on inside your head. And you can be like, interesting. Or you can say things like, I saw this really good reply on a TikTok of somebody says something that's like wildly out of left field. You just be like, wow, um, interesting that you felt like it was okay to say that out loud.
like I
Just
don't know. My mom listens to this podcast, and if I bring that saying into my dad's family at Christmas, I just might have to. That might be my
I
new.
mean, and maybe you have something that's like that helps you de-stress. Like maybe you have an ally within like your family that you can like have a look with, or like a safe word that you're like, okay, meet me in the bathroom in 10 to like
I
do
don't
something
think you
about
should have
this.
told me that saying. I think that's going to be a dangerous saying for my life. Interesting that you chose that was okay to say out loud. People are
I've
gonna,
said that before. I've said that to strangers
I love
before who talk about um like little kids. Like somebody at the store today was like, "Oh, why isn't your daughter in preschool?" And I was like, "She's 2." First of all, they don't take them this early. If they
also,
did, she would
why,
be.
why don't you know how to mind your business? What do you mean? Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, anyways. So, like, back to the point, like, figure out some, have some tools in your back pocket. Like, whether that's like, like, um, my husband and I definitely have like some eye contact things when we're at places and we're just be like, we'll just kind of like eyes to the door and we'll be like, oh, the baby's cranky, gotta go.
You like rub
Um,
your nose
but you
4
can, yeah,
times.
you can always like, you can do the classic, like when you're on like a date that you're like text somebody something and then they like call you and they're like, something bad's happened. You're like, oh no, something bad's happened.
Oh my God. I saw this post. If we need more tools of avoiding people, which I think is common in the holidays, I saw this post between a mom and her kid, and if they're not in an active conversation over text and he sends like a random emoji, she knows that he would like to come home, but he wants her to like make
Oh
up
yeah.
why.
I've seen this with like sleepover,
Yeah, so
and
he
you're
sent
like,
like a hot dog emoji, and then she called and was like, "You were supposed to unpack the dishwasher before you left. You need to come home." So like have some sort of
yeah,
system with your network, and I think that can be helpful in like almost any situation to not have to verbally be like, "Excuse me, I would like to leave now." Like
yeah.
having any
Okay,
sort of out.
Jill, if I text you a random emoji and we're not in a conversation, you need to call me and get me out of whatever situation I'm in.
Perfect. It'll be the wackest reason ever. And you'll be sitting there trying not to laugh, but I promise it'll be worth it. So um
Um, I feel like, I guess, be easy and love yourself. I mean, know that most stressful times are temporary. And I think it's important that even if I'm just sort of thinking about if you're caring for somebody who's ill, or if you have like a stressful sort of financial situation, that it is important to take time for yourself and do the things that you love to do, whether that's like, going for a walk by yourself, something that is self-care, especially moms.
mhm.
Taking a shower by yourself is not self-care. Going to the grocery store by yourself is not self-care. Those are daily requirements or weekly requirements if it's groceries. But do something for you that is just you
Mhm.
if you can.
Yeah, and I think I talk about this often, and I don't say it as a tough love, and we talked about this in another episode, but sticking to the routines and habits, and this is different than like just making excuses. When we're in times of high stress, like identifying the routines and habits that you have that make you feel really good in your life is important, and making sure we're sticking to those to our best of our abilities is also important. Like if your morning coffee in silence is the make or break between you losing your mind or
Yeah,
not during the day, make sure those routines stay in, especially during those high stress times. And I also think high stress times can be a really great time to practice our boundary setting too.
we
Um,
love a boundary.
of being like, listen, I don't really have space. I just sent a text to one of my friends like that. She texted me and she was like, I'm sending you a novel on Snap. And I was like, cool. I don't really have a lot of time today. I also don't really have a lot of space mentally, but I will get to it when I can. Like expressing those boundaries to people, I think it was important of
Hmm.
like, you're always welcome to lean on me for whatever you need, but it's not going to be instant because I have my own shit. And
I also think, along with that, is like getting in the habit of, before you like dump on somebody, just being like, hey, I am going through something right now. Do you have space to like take this in? Because if somebody doesn't, then they're gonna be like, now you've just like poured your heart out. And I'm like, and the thing about Snapchat is like, it's not like you can't just leave it unread forever. because I know I turned off my notifications on Snapchat and I go in there and I'm like, oh, I have something from Jill. We don't snap each other very serious things, so it's nothing that I would have missed. However, like I would
I
hate to
would
be
have,
like, oh, she ignored me.
and I know that about you. Like if I need you, I'm like, hello. But like you're
Just keep sending them.
you're 100% right. I'll just pick a different social media platform to bother you on. But you're 100% right. Like I would have loved a text today that was like, hey, do you have space for this? Because I honestly would have been like, not really. Is it like, do we need to tackle it today or can we tackle it tomorrow, perhaps?
Yeah,
I think asking those questions is important because people always have their own things going on. And like, I am fine today, but like, my week is a shit show. So if your things are not like do or die, no offense, I don't really care right now, but like maybe tomorrow I have more time for you. So getting that
yeah.
up front is important. But even if that isn't being offered, because I think that's a very like
I think it's
younger
kind of new.
person thing to do. So especially if you have people in your life that don't tend to check first, being okay, like I did today, with being like, listen, I don't really have the space for that right now. I'll get to it when I can, unless it's do or die. And usually, like, I responded to that text and she replied right away. She's like, it's not anything important. So listen when you can. Usually, people will recognize, like, oh,
Yeah,
that's actually not the end of the world. So no stress. And that takes the pressure off you versus, like, great, now I have to deal with all of my own things and everyone else's at the same time.
totally. Yeah.
We love
Um,
the boundary.
love a good boundary. Okay, the last question is actually three, but it's kind of rapid fire. So, favorite exercise right now, least favorite exercise right now, and favorite snack at the moment.
Um, favorite exercise. I'm big on rowing lately. I'm in my row
Really?
sprint era. Um,
Like rowing machine rowing?
yeah,
Oh,
like I've
nice.
been throwing in. I'm not a big cardio girly, but I know as the winter comes, I'm gonna take slightly less steps. Not that much less because I have a giant dog that
Mm,
doesn't care if it's cold. But I do know my steps shift a little bit in the winter. I also just like it. It makes me feel like kind of an athlete still. And as much as I keep telling myself I want to get back into like co-ed basketball and stuff, I'm clearly not making it a priority. But like doing like 4 sets of 100-meter row sprints has been fun. And my goal was to get it under 20 seconds. And I have been doing that consistently. So now we got to set a new goal. So I would say row sprints is my fave. My least fave is Anderson squats when you're supposed to like start from the pins and then like stand,
yeah.
just because they don't feel nice. Like it's not that they like hurt and cause pain.
Mm, yeah.
It's not a comfy exercise for me to do.
Yeah.
I don't mind like squatting 2 pins and then coming back up, but
Yeah.
starting from the pins,
I just think it's awkward.
it's
Yeah.
just not like I'm like, there's no way this is beneficial enough for me to suffer through these. If Ethan listens to this pod, he'll be like, so you haven't been doing them this whole time? Correct. I've been doing pin squats instead, but it's fine. um, that's my least favorite. That's a pretty niche one to pick. And my favorite snack, um,
She
I'm
looks around.
I've been eating. I don't know. I love like this has been my favorite snack for probably most of my life. My protein Greek yogurt comes and goes, but apples and cheese is just like one of my favorite
Slaps.
all-time snacks. It never
Yeah.
misses.
Yeah. I agree. That's a really good snack. Okay. Favorite exercise right now? Tall lateral step ups.
Okay.
As in like I flip my box on not the tallest, but
Yep.
the next tallest. So it's quite, I don't know, for some reason I just feel like it's really targeting my glutes in like all the right ways.
Love that.
Um, I can't flip my box any higher though because I'll hit my head on the ceiling in the basement. So,
Work from home. Work out from home.
um, yeah,
You
least
should just
favorite,
get shorter legs and then you would need a less tall box.
least favorite exercise right now. I'm kind of struggling with overhead pressing right
Okay.
now. I kind of tweaked. my shoulder a little bit during bike season. I don't know if it's just like cyclocross carrying or like me carrying my kid on this side, like on the
Yeah.
combo of a lot of things. And so I've had to drop down in weight and I have to have my shoulder at like a certain like I have to have like my elbow at a certain angle and I have to like be telling my serratus to like do more work because I think my deltoid is like not okay. So it's just like I just have to think about it a lot and I'm not able to press what I normally can press. And it's just like depressing that I can only really do 15 pounds for like 8 to 10 reps.
Sure.
But it's fine. My arm's not gonna fall off. It's just like I'm just not enjoying it at the moment. Other than that, everything's fine. Favorite snack at the moment. We still have some Halloween candy kicking around. So Reese's peanut butter cups, Snickers, always on the top of the list. Like honestly, veggie straws, they slap. Like
I do love the
no, I don't
veggies.
actually know like how much vegetables are in them, but like my kiddo loves them. They're salty, they're delicious. Um, yeah, we buy the individual bags because they're just better for toddlers. And yeah, I polish off one of those and a lime bubbly, and I am good.
I love that.
Yeah.
I do. They're crunchy. They're salty. I forgot about veggie straws. It's a great. It's
But
great.
also, I'm a mandarin orange girly. I
Yeah.
don't like oranges outside of mandarin oranges, and it is mandarin orange season, and my kid really likes to peel them herself. And so not only do I get an orange, but I have somebody to peel it for me. So
I love that. And
it's
then
good, yeah.
next is Christmas orange season, which I'm pretty sure is the same thing,
That's the same.
just in green wrapping. So it makes it more fun.
Oh, yeah, no, they don't have the
Little,
yeah, these ones don't have the papers. But
you know,
um yeah, that wraps it up for our Q&A episode. We love your questions. Keep sending them. We will keep answering them. We'll keep putting up question boxes a couple days before we record. That's super helpful. You guys have been really engaging. We love that. If you are looking to send us a question at Lattes and Lifting Podcast over on the gram, you can find me at JLack Fitness on all the socials.
you can find me at CoachJill.April, and we always appreciate if you guys share the pod or share it to your stories, text an episode to a friend. Podcasts are a great little way too to like tell your friends they need the advice without having to be like, you need this advice. You can just be like, here's this podcast, maybe listen to it, and then they'll probably get the hint. So if we ever say something, you're like, oh my God, my friend needs to hear that, just shoot them the link. See what happens. It's fine. But yeah, we will catch you guys next time. And as always, thanks for being here.
Bye.